Pastoral councils, putting the pieces together. Why have a pastoral council? In his book titled A Concise Guide to Pastoral Planning, Dr. William L. Pickett offers a reason to have a pastoral council: to investigate and ponder significant pastoral issues and develop creative and effective responses to those issues, to participate with the pastor in thinking and praying about these actions. Mr. Mark Fisher's book, Making Parish Councils Pastoral, describes the pastoral council in this way: because we Catholics believe that God's Word became flesh, we are now Christ's body. So the wise pastor consults his people because he believes that God's wisdom dwells in them. Early stages of the pastoral council. Some of the first councils took the form of finance or maintenance committees. People thought, we're not trained as priests, but we can take care of the administrative end of things and free up the priest for his pastoral duties. This, in fact, took the priest out of the role of being leader of the parish, because often he didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. Advisory groups were formed and acted as sounding boards only, with the priest making the final decisions. Coordinating committees formed groups such as liturgy, youth, and communications. Members started to identify themselves with a subgroup instead of representing the parish as a whole. Some councils became think tanks, identifying needs and forming new groups to address them, eventually losing touch with the needs of the parish. Hands-on councils identified needs and problems and moved to fill and solve. As we will talk about later, evaluation was difficult when the same group did both the work and evaluated it. So what is a pastoral council? A pastoral council is a faith-sharing body whose ministry is pastoral planning for the parish. That leads to another question. What is pastoral planning? This is a long but thorough definition. If we take it apart and look at each phrase separately, we can see that it really is pretty simple. It's a process through which a plan is devised that, when implemented, would assist the parish in becoming a better community of disciples of Jesus, vibrant in its worship, its formation in faith, devotion, and spirituality for believers and inquirers, its stewardship of the members' time, talent, and treasure, its outreach to those who search for meaning, and those deprived of their human dignity, of life's necessities, or of meaningful work. What is the council's focus? This group is consultative only. It studies a particular issue, reflects on it prayerfully, and recommends action. There are 7 areas on which the council will focus: worship, formation, parish life, evangelization, ecumenism, social outreach, and stewardship. Ecumenism refers to all of the activities and initiatives of the Church and her members to promote mutual understanding and ultimately unity among all Christians. To accomplish its goals, the council should ensure that the parish has a mission statement. We'll talk about mission statements on the next slide. The council must be willing to collaborate with other parish ministries, other parishes, and parishioners. The council will need access to parish personnel and information in order to do its work. Members of the parish staff, those whose focus is parish records, and leaders whose ministries in the parish are the focus of planning must be accessible to the pastoral council. Now we'll talk about mission statements. What is a mission statement? One definition describes it as a proclamation of what the parish is about in light of the gospel and what the Church believes and teaches. Most parishes state their mission statement on their website or in their weekly bulletins. The mission statement format makes it clear what the core work of the organization is. It focuses on what happens because of the work of the parish. Look at the format to craft a mission statement. Let's look at the sampling of mission statements that are in your folder. They represent some of the Toledo Diocese parishes. Notice how some are very simple, some are very detailed. How long should it be? As long as it needs in order to capture the spirit of the community and be memorable. Some people use what they call the coffee mug test. They encourage the mission statement to be one sentence that would fit on a coffee mug or t-shirt. If the mission statement becomes too long and catalogs every ministry, it can lose its effectiveness. The mission statement guides the council in achieving its goals. There's a helpful format that describes how to craft a mission statement included in your folder. Notice that each mission statement describes the focus of the parish and that each is very specific to that parish. Council membership. The people who become the pastoral council are representatives of the parish community and must be a group of committed, faithful Catholics. Let's look at how they ended up on the council. First, we'll look at the criteria that most parishes use in selecting members. Potential members must be baptized, confirmed, registered, active, contributing, have the necessary time to give, and be credible members of the parish. Diversity should play a factor in forming a parish council. Members should represent different age groups, gender, ethnicity. They should live in different geographic areas of the parish and have differing business affiliations. The selection process should include prayerful consideration and match an individual's gifts with the roles and responsibilities of the council. The length of term is really determined locally. 1 year is really too short to feel a sense of accomplishment. 5 years is a long time commitment for most people, so usually 3 years is a good term. When new councils are formed, some members agree to a 1-year commitment and some plan to stay for more. Most councils stagger the replacement times so that new members are coming on board every year. This assures a nice flow of information sharing and continuation of ongoing projects that aren't interrupted because no one knows the history of the issue. Most councils work with between 8 and 12 members, depending on the size of the parish. Responsibilities of members. Attendance at meetings is an important responsibility for all members. Of course, emergencies do arise, so members should be sure to let the facilitator know if they will be unable to attend. Stay informed. Read the bulletin, check the website, know what's going on. Since the council is the consultative group, advising and serving the pastor is a main focus. Formulating strategic plans. It sounds technical, but it's really just looking to the future and creating a parish vision. Most councils develop a 3-year plan that's reviewed annually and updated as needed. Along with the 3-year plan, each year the council should evaluate what they accomplished during the year. If internal or external changes occur, evaluations should be done more often to assure that goals will be met in a timely fashion. Enhancing parish standing is a way of saying putting the image of the parish to the best light. Suggest new members. Need fresh, new thinking, but don't just take turns. Look for new people. Planning and getting started. So now we have a parish council with members, a mission statement, and an idea of duties and responsibilities. What do you do now? What things should be done at the first meeting in order to get ready to work? A general review of what's going on in the parish. Identify ministries and what is already being done, as well as which areas need attention and further planning. By looking at the 7 focus areas and at the parish mission statement, a clearer focus can be obtained. Council members should know the hot topics that are surfacing within the parish. SMART goals are a commonly accepted list of criteria used to double-check the work being done in the group. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. Council should monitor and review. Are we on track? Are activities within parameter agreed on? Are we consistent with our mission? In your folder is a purple half-sheet titled Pastoral Council Annual Review that addresses some general questions that could be asked on an annual basis. Creating bylaws will guide the council's method of working. Each parish's bylaws will be unique. Some of the procedures that should be described in the bylaws are as follows on the next slide. Sometimes referred to as working procedures, these are some of the usual bylaws used by councils. Sample bylaws are included in the forms section that we'll get to later. Bylaws should address, but not be limited to, criteria for members, the selection process, length of terms, responsibilities of the facilitator and secretary, procedures for keeping minutes, the role of the pastor, and the frequency, duration, and structure of the meetings. This set of guidelines is accepted by most pastoral councils. The meetings must be planned, productive, engaged, focused. A meeting shouldn't be a last-minute, thrown-together, unorganized waste of everyone's time. Meetings must not be called or conducted without the knowledge or approval of the pastor. The involvement of a pastoral leader or facilitator allows for the council to continue in the event of an emergency which calls the pastor away. Creating an agenda ahead of time is important to pull a meeting together and keep it on track. The agenda should list topics in the order they will be addressed. It's also helpful to indicate whether the topic is for information, discussion, or decision, or a combination of these. Minutes of each meeting should be recorded and kept on file. Previous meeting minutes are reviewed and approved at the beginning of the next meeting. In your folder is a handout describing how to write and keep meeting minutes. Prayer should be an integral part of the work of the council. Those who prepare the agenda have the responsibility to assure that prayer has an appropriate and prominent place in the meeting. Many councils form a prayer committee to have the prayer well prepared and to have necessary materials such as Bibles or handouts for those attending the meeting. At times the council may be dealing with material that is sensitive. It's a moral consideration that what is discussed is kept in confidence. Confidentiality can be described as extending information only to those who need to know. This should not be confused with secrecy, which is keeping information from common knowledge in order to preserve power over a person or group. Discussions and deliberation must be kept in confidentiality in order to allow members to speak freely and without fear of having their comments repeated. Gossip has no place in a professional setting. The main task of the council. So to sum up to this point, the council articulates the parish's mission, identifies goals that flow from the mission, defines objectives for reaching the goals, but the actual implementation is the job of the pastor and parish staff. A conflict of interest would result if the council was responsible for implementation of a plan and the evaluation of the planning. Remember back at the beginning when we talked about early stages of pastoral councils? This is where the hands-on council had problems. They wanted to do the work and pat themselves on the back for doing a good job. Discernment and consensus. This ultimately means that each person has had the opportunity to share his or her wisdom, to hear respectively what others have to say, and have time to reflect prayerfully on the information before indicating support. Working with discernment and for consensus means that it is not majority rules. At the conclusion of discussions, it is not a vote that's taken so much as an indication of support for the final decision. This means that although a decision is not his or her first preference, a member can indicate that he or she will support the decision and work to carry it out. This process can take longer than a simple presentation and vote, but spending the extra time will make people understand the result better and will support in the face or opposition from others. Some issues do just need a simple vote, though. Multiple parishes with one council. In parishes that have been twinned or clustered, pastors sometimes have one combined pastoral council. This development is supported by parishes striving to become vital, energized, and involved, while allowing the pastor to tend the spiritual leadership of both parishes. With 2 or more parishes, the pastor remains the presider of the council. In combined councils, an equal number of representatives from each parish is advisable. Members should be aware of ministries and specifics of the other parish so that they can contribute to the discussions. Collaboration is vital to a combined council. Ad hoc committees are used to address issues specific to each parish. Recommendations. Leadership should be shared. A chairperson can facilitate meetings if an emergency arises that makes it impossible for the pastor to attend. Invite a member of the Finance Council to attend meetings where financial issues will be discussed. If information is needed, give the representative time to collect it ahead of time. Communicate with the parishioners via the bulletin or pulpit announcements. This is vital. This has been the beginning of distrust and the end of collaboration for so many parishes. It feeds the rumor mill and encourages speculation. Include prayer and faith sharing at every meeting. Meet periodically with representatives of other standing committees. This is how the council stays on top of what's happening in the parish. Create a job description for council members so that prospective members know what's expected of them before they consider joining the council. Sample forms are found in the back of the Pastoral Council guidelines. Feel free to use these or use them as templates to create forms that are specific to your parish. In addition to the 2 books described at the beginning of the slides, Donald Harrington's book titled The Welcoming Parish offers chapters addressing key areas of growth and vision for parishes. The Diocese of Toledo Pastoral Guidelines covers pastoral councils in more detail also.